Today we'll look at how to model erosion using element add remove. We'll begin by creating a block which will then split off some layers that we'd like to erode. And we'll create that split using an offset plane. And we'll define the thickness as 1/10 of an inch. And we'll do 2 layers, each 1/10 of an inch. Next we'll create our simulation files. And we'll use the Multiphysics solver environment to create a coupled thermal structural analysis. So here we'll create a solution. We'll take the defaults and we'll create a nonlinear statics step. We'll call it 0 because for our first time step definition the end time has to be 0. And we'll take the rest of the defaults. Alright, now we want a few additional subcases. Let's go ahead and clone our original subcase. We'll create one copy of it. And here we'll set the end time to 10 seconds. We'll call it 10 as well. And we'll use 10 increments for both the structural and thermal control. And we'll also set output recovery at all times. Alright, so next we'll create 2 more clones of that one, which will set an end time at 20 seconds. And the last one at 30 seconds. Alright, that looks good. Let's next go and create a brick mesh on our geometry. And we'll select an element size that's roughly double our layer thickness. Alright, that looks good. And you'll note that this is not a congruent mesh. I did not create glue coincident mesh mating conditions, and that's by design. We'll talk about that more in just a minute. Next we'll go back to the sim and we'll create some structural constraints because we're creating a thermal structural analysis, and we'll also create a thermal constraint. Alright, next we'll assign our loads. This will be a thermal load. We'll define it as a heat flux. And our first one we're going to put on our top layer. And we'll define that with a field that will be dependent on time. So at time 0 for the heat flux on our top layer, we want a flux value of 1,000, and we want that to stay at 1,000 through 9 seconds, at which point we'll transition it down over the course of 1 second to 0, and we'll keep it at 0 for the remainder of the time for our simulation. And we also want to make sure we get our units right for our column. And that looks good for our top layer. Now for our next layer, once that layer has eroded, we need to assign a heat flux on the next layer down. And the important part about this is that it needs to be on the top face of the next body down, not on the bottom face of the original. So you could pick it that way with a quick pick, but it might be easier if we just hid all of our meshes and hid the top layer that we've just eroded, so that when we specify the face to apply our heat flux for the next layer, it's going to be on the top face of that next layer. All right, and we'll specify a field to define this flux as well as a function of time. This one will have a value of 0 at time 0. At time 9 it will also be at 0, but we'll be transitioning it up to 1000 at 10 seconds and leaving it there through 19 seconds, then ramping it back down to 0 at 20 seconds and leaving it there through 30 seconds. Let's make sure we get the units correct on our column, and that one looks good. So let's go ahead and hide the next layer and assign our final thermal load to the top face of our remaining body. This will be as a function of time as well, and at time 0 we'll have a flux of 0 on this face, but at time 19 this is when we're going to be starting to apply or ramping up our flux to 1000, and we'll leave it there through till 30 seconds. Let's also make sure we get our units correct, and that looks good. Alright, next what we need to do is define the elements that we'd like to remove as a function of time. So here we'll turn on all of our bodies, and the first layer of elements that we'd like to remove will be on our top layer, and we want to start the removal at 1 second and have it span 9 seconds to remove that layer of elements. For the second layer down, we want that removal to start at 11 seconds and go for another 9 seconds, so it removes all those elements by the time we're at 20 seconds. Alright, and then lastly, we need to both structurally and thermally connect our bodies, and we'll do that with surface-to-surface glue. And here we'll select Activate Thermal Coupling and Perfect Contact. Alright, so at this point we'll go ahead and try to solve. We'll leave the model setup check on just to make sure if we've missed anything, and sure enough it's caught a problem. It looks like the designer didn't specify a material on our geometry, but that's not a problem. As the analyst, we can go ahead and edit the collector. Since we can't inherit a material, since one was not assigned, we can assign one to all of the meshes in the collector. Alright, so let's go ahead and solve. Here I'll pause the video while it's solving, and we can see the total elapsed time is here at the bottom right in a little over half a minute. Then we can view our results, and since we're running a coupled thermal structural analysis, we get both structural results as well as thermal results. So here we can see at time equals 30 seconds that many of the elements for those layers have been removed. If we move back up in time to 11 seconds, we can see that one layer is back, and back up to 1 second, we can see all the layers are there. So what we'd like to do to get a good view of what's going on with the structure is we'll plot the displacement as a function of time at one of the nodes on the side. So here we'll start at time equals 0, we'll go through 30 seconds, we'll go in 7 nodes and up 2, and go ahead and graph those results as a displacement magnitude. Alright, we'll save that for later. We can see that that graph is saved in our post-processing navigator. Let's go ahead and look at our thermal results next. Here we'll look at our temperature results, and we can do the same graph starting at 0 seconds through 30 seconds, and we'll select that same node that's in 7 and up 2, which is node 871. You can remember that for later. And here we can see that plot of temperature as a function of time. Alright, and that also is saved in the post-processing navigator, and we'll use that later. Now, another way that we can view these results, which will be helpful if we want to clone our results or make some modifications so that we don't have to go through that graphing step, is to create a result probe. And we'll create two probes. First will be a structural one, which will be our displacement magnitude. And we'll need to create a new result measure to do that. We'll call it DISP. DISPM would probably be better, but let's go ahead and select our displacement result type and magnitude for our component. And we'll add an M there. All right, that looks good, and that's our formula, DISPM. We'll select load case all, iteration category none, iteration selection all, and our iteration type is time. And then for our node, we can select that node 871, same one that's 7 in and 2 up, and we can create a graph as a function of time. All right, we'll put that in a new window, and you can see that same displacement graph that we created earlier. We'll do the same thing for a thermal probe as well. This time we'll select our solution type as thermal. We'll call this one temp. Create a new result measure, which will also be temp. We'll select temperature, nodal, except I didn't change the name there. NXX doesn't really mean anything. Let's make that temp. And make sure we've got temperature. That looks good. Same load case, iteration category, iteration selection, and iteration type at the same node 871. And we'll create our graph. All right, so that looks good. Now, just as a double check, what we'd like to do is clone this solution and remove the element removal. So the elements will stay in there through the entire time that the analysis runs. And let's see what that difference makes on our results. So here we'll clone that solution and we'll remove our element add remove for those two layers of elements. And we'll go ahead and run it again. Here, I'll pause the video. And once it's done, we can view our results. And it's easier now because we cloned it with those result probes. So all we need to do is go ahead and graph those probes, and then we can overlay our original displacement results on top of it. So there you can see the difference in the displacement as a function of having those elements there versus not having them there. And we can do the same thing for our temperature results. Here all we need to do is go ahead and plot our temperature probe from our cloned solution and then overlay the temperature plot from our original solution. And you can see the effect of removing the elements on our temperature results. And that's how to model erosion with element add remove.